This is the Joe Mullins Show, showcasing the vibrant spirit of Florida and America's innovative creators. This is the place for captivating conversations, inspiring guests, and industry professionals celebrating the best place in the world to live, shop, work, and play. And now, your host, County Commissioner, entrepreneur, and freedom advocate, Joe Mullins.
Hello, Florida. This is Joe Mullins of the Live, Work, Shop, Play show. And Florida is being devastated this weekend and the last few weeks with the government shutdown. What is that doing to states across the country, communities, and cities? Today, I have with me our Congressman, Randy Fine, from the state of Florida. Randy, welcome to the show today.
Thanks for having me. It's a terrible time with what the Democrats have done, but I'm glad we have the chance to talk about it.
Now, Congressman Fine, you represent a very strong district that relies on tourism over on the east coast of Florida. Now, we're in Tampa, we're in Jacksonville, we're in Orlando, Sarasota. It's impacting all states across the country, not as well as counties and cities all throughout the state of Florida and the country. What is this? The government shutdown. Last year we heard about it. We've heard about it a few years, but it was always in Congress. I'm hearing something about the Senate this time. Am I correct in assuming that the Congress passed a budget and that the Senate won't approve it? So it's not Congress holding it up this time.
Yeah, so on September 22nd, the House passed a continuing resolution. We've been working hard to get a budget passed in regular order, but we needed a little bit more time. And so we passed a clean continuing resolution that said we're going to continue to fund the government for 7 weeks while we get a permanent budget done. It passed the House. There's no policy in it. It just continues the way things have been done. It went to the Senate, and Senate Democrats, where we need 60 votes, we need 5 Democratic votes. Senate Democrats said, if you won't give free health care for illegal immigrants, we're going to shut the government down. And they thought they could hold us hostage because of their love for illegals, and that just didn't fly.
You mean to tell me that we are being held up, and once again, by the immigrants coming in illegally? They've devastated our communities. They've devastated our economy. They have attacked some of our kids and killed them. We've had amazingly negative impact by immigrants, and now it's impacting us. The Democrats just don't stop. It's amazing to hear this. So that's what's holding it up.
Well, I think we have to accept the fact that the hard left of the Democratic Party hates America. They do not think America is a noble enterprise, and they want to destroy it. And that's why they prioritize benefits to foreign invaders, which is what illegal immigrants are. They are foreigners who invaded our country, have come here illegally, over Americans. And they said, I don't care if the people in the military get paid. I don't care if air traffic controllers get paid. I don't care if ICE workers get paid. What I care about is illegal immigrants getting free health care. And they shut down the government over it.
Wow. Congressman Fine, you represent 7 of the 67 counties that are in the state of Florida, as well as the rest of Florida, the rest of the state and the country. I think all of us understand today in time that every Congress seat is important for the way this country goes, not just your communities. You got to have strong conservatives fighting for us. Let me ask you this. Your counties are very diverse, like the rest of Florida. You've got coastal, you've got rural, you've got cities in the middle of it. How is this impacting local counties and cities?
Well, I'll tell you the most direct way it's affecting people. You can't sell your house in Florida right now, and you can't buy a house in Florida right now unless you're paying cash. Now, why is that? If you want to get a mortgage, you've got to get insurance for your insurance company. And one of those forms of insurance you have to get is flood insurance, because we live in a state that has hurricanes. Well, the Democrats, when they shut down the government, they shut down the federal flood insurance program. So you cannot get a federal flood policy right now, which means you can't close on your mortgage, which means you can't buy a house, and it means you can't sell a house. But it's even worse than that. If you're living in your house and you've had federal flood insurance for the last 10 years and your policy expired today, you can't renew it, even if you want to do the right thing. And that's in the peak of hurricane season. We have people sitting naked without the insurance they want, and they need to stay protected. That's affecting certainly my coastal counties. But in my rural counties like Putnam County, we passed a $50 billion pot of money to help rural health care. It's a record amount of spending to make sure people can go to the doctor near where they live. The Democrats want to repeal that $50 billion and take that money and give it to illegal immigrants. I wish I could tell you it was a lie, but it's not.
Now, Congressman Fine, you've been very active lately in your district. You've been going around checking on people, communicating with them about this. For the ones that you weren't able to get to, what are some messages that you can send to tell them how to deal with this and how to cope with it? And I know you don't know the answer to this, but kind of being optimistic that this government shutdown, how long could this go on?
Sure. Well, look, we did 81 visits during the August district work period. Since the shutdown began, I've done a press conference with one of my sheriffs. We did a teletown hall where we reached out to over 100,000 people to join in and talk with me live. We're trying to get the message out there. What I would tell people is if they need help, all 6 of my district offices remain open. I have an office in every county that I represent, whether you're in St. John's or you're in Lake. There's an office within 30 minutes of where you live, and we've kept them all open. And so I encourage people to go to find.house.gov, find their closest office, and reach out if they need help. As for how this ends, I mean, Democrats said this morning, short of planes falling out of the sky, they will not yield unless they get free health care for illegal immigrants. And so what I would tell people is Florida's not the problem. Both our senators have voted to keep the government open. Call your friends in other states that have Democrat senators and tell them, please call your senator and tell him to reopen the government.
This is why I think that so many people need to understand these congressional and Senate seats, not just in the state of Florida, but all over the country, are so crucial and important that we keep people like you in and people like Senator Scott, Senator Moody into these positions, because just those little areas could shut down the whole country, and Florida's impacted strongly.
Well, Joe, when we passed President Trump's working families tax cut, which created no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, the biggest tax cut in the history of the country, and which went and changed, all the benefits that illegal immigrants get, that bill passed by one vote. It was my vote. Had I lost my election on April 1st, had it been some wackadoo Democrat, President Trump's entire agenda would have gone down in flames. So every seat does matter, even though we're a super red area. But right now, the problem is the Senate and the fact that we need 60 votes to pass this, and Democrats control 45. So 5 of their senators need to be willing to do what's best for the country. Now, both of our senators are doing the right thing. So we need to be putting pressure on those senators in those states that aren't. They're not going to care if you call them. You're from Florida. You can't vote for them. But if someone in Georgia calls their 2 Democrat senators and says, reopen the government, this is crap, I need hurricane insurance, that might make a difference.
So many people live in Florida from other states, and a lot of them live there and still vote in their states. I think what you're doing, what you just said, is a perfect example of where I am today. I'm up in Georgia for the big games this weekend. I'm taking care of my sports and entertainment side of my company. But getting up here in the airlines was a disaster. The flights have been canceled. They've been delayed because of lack of personnel to direct the air traffic control. Personally, I did not even want to fly. When I got there to the airport, I decided that I'd rather drive than take a chance with a half-manned airport, and I'm hearing that all over. So I drove, but I'm up here in Atlanta. Atlanta's a big example. We lost 2 Senate seats for our country up in Atlanta just a few years ago. And look at this pivotal in Georgia, and look at this pivotal problem that Florida is now facing because of the lack of votes across the country. Yeah, no, look, I mean, this is a real problem. The people at TSA aren't getting paid.
The people in air traffic control aren't being paid. And I think some of them are saying, if you're not going to pay me, I'm not going to come to work. And I think we're going to see that problem just get worse. All so that Democrats can try to force us to give free health care to illegal immigrants. Americans should be furious at the idea that foreign invaders get prioritized over them.
Now, Congressman Fine, I want to show you something here. I am in the lobby of the Waverly in Atlanta. It's dead here. You see, notice the backdrop here, the escalators.
I don't think I've seen anybody even walk past you the whole time we've been doing this.
There has been no one in the hotel. I've never seen it this way. I came up. I just stayed here one night. I talked to the front desk. They told me, they said the fact that the government shutdown has happened. A lot of people canceled their conventions here that were dealing with government. A lot of staff has been sent home. A lot of people are not working. So it's not just impacting government jobs. It's impacting economies like this. You know, the Democrats have tried to say President Trump is being mean. He's threatening not to pay people. They're trying to get certain workers to say how bad this is. What is your comments on that statement that the Democrats are making and how they're making it look like he's hurting Americans' workforce?
They're hurting Americans. President Trump wanted the government to stay open. It's the Democrats who closed the government. Those workers should be complaining. They should be upset. This is terrible. And that's why Democrats have had the opportunity to reopen the government. The House did its job. We voted to keep the government open. And 6 or 7 times now, Senate Democrats have said, no, we're keeping the government closed unless you give free health care to illegal immigrants. And I can't say that enough. It's hard to believe what American elected official would prioritize foreign invaders over American citizens. It's a violation of their oath of office. But the fact of the matter is the hard left hates America, and we have to accept that that's the world that we live in today.
Now, Congressman Fine, some of the areas in your district also are dealing with coastal issues that the federal government helps aid in. If we got hit by a hurricane right now, how devastating would that be with this government shutdown?
Well, the biggest part would be people wouldn't have federal flood insurance. You know, when my house was damaged in 2016 and it was ultimately destroyed, it took me years to work things out with my homeowner's insurance. But the federal flood people were at my house within days, and I had to check very quickly because I bought federal flood insurance. Well, right now, you can't buy it. So there are people who live near the ocean, who live in floodplains, who desperately want flood insurance. But because Democrats are saying, nope, nothing unless we give free stuff to illegals, you can't get federal flood insurance. People should be out of their mind angry about this. The only money I want to spend on illegal immigrants is to buy them a plane ticket to ship their butts home. That's the only thing we ought to be doing. We should not be giving them health care, education, housing, all this crap that the Democrats want to give to foreign invaders, people who don't respect our country because they break our laws to come here. Every one of them needs to go home. And that's what I'm focused on. Certainly not giving them free health care, which, again, the Democrats are demanding in order to reopen the government.
Now, Congressman Fine, you've been a congressman for a short time now. You got into a special election because Congressman Waltz went up. You won the election. You had a very tough fight. Like you said, Democrats are not playing around anymore. They're fighting for their life to survive. Your seat is so crucial as we see here. What are some of the things as a new congressman you've been able to do, and what are some for the district in the area? And what are some of the things that you want to continue to see done that you, by you being there longer and getting more seniority, will be able to help and do for the communities?
Well, we've been able to do a lot. Look, when I showed up on April 2nd, I had no staff and no offices, which is kind of an unheard of thing for a new congressman. You usually take over from the last person. And in those 6 months, we've assembled a great team in D.C., and we've opened something that's never happened in this district, an office in every county that I serve. I've also done a very large number of visits. If people want me to come and talk to their groups, they should go to find.house.gov and make a scheduling request. I love to come and speak to groups. But we've helped almost 1,000 people now with their constituent issues with the government. We've brought back almost $20 million to the district in funding for varying projects. We've held 2 teletown halls where tens of thousands of people have been able able to speak directly with me about their concerns. And I'm trying to do as much media as I can so that I can, like this, so that I can talk to people about their issues. But if people want to see what I'm doing, there's an easy way to do it. They should follow me on social media at @RepFine. That's my handle on all the platforms, @RepFine, because we're very active letting people know what we're doing to work hard for them. Even in this purgatory, which is what it feels like with the government closed because of the Democrats, we're still trying to work as hard as we can to help people.
Now, Congressman Fine, Senator Scott was on the show just last week, and he was talking about the shutdown. He was talking about Schumer and the areas that these liberals represent are so dependent on federal government aid and support. He brought up a very good point. They're shooting themselves in the foot. They're hurting their own people. They're hurting their own workers, the people that voted for them. They're impacting them by this government shutdown and allowing it to occur. Besides sitting at the negotiating table, this is just so drastic. What is your comment on the areas that depend on that federal government like they represent and how they're failing them?
I think it sends a clear message to those Americans. Democrats don't care about you. They care about illegal immigrants. You know, President Trump's best commercial last year in the election is, they're for they, them, I'm for you, when he made fun of the pronoun insanity and transgenderism. It's the same thing right now. They are for illegal immigrants. Republicans are for Americans. And I don't think the Democrats care about anything except power and destroying America. I don't know that they even care about illegal immigrants. I just think they care about their potential fraudulent votes. And so I think that we are trying to do the right thing for America, and the left wants to destroy America and turn it into a Marxist Islamist state. I mean, that is where we are today, where Democrats hurting America is not a bug. It is a feature. It is the goal, is to damage America.
Now, Congressman Fine, there's a very important election coming up, the midterms. This is a perfect example of why we need to keep strong patriots in office and have more join. So many times we see people focused on the wrong races. They're focused on attacking the people that are in there fighting currently. What is your comments to the public about shifting that focus and getting the people that are attacking our country and imploding our country, like Senator Schumer? What is your comments on that?
Well, what I would say to Floridians is, look, we have a 2-vote majority in the House, and every dollar that we spend fighting Republicans is a dollar we don't have to spend fighting Democrats. I've been in this job for 6 months. If people can point to one vote that I've taken that they don't like, then they should let me know. But I've been with President Trump 100% of the time. I think wasting money fighting me or fighting Ashley Moody or any of the other 19 Republicans is a waste of time. What we ought to be doing in Florida is A, making sure every Republican wins, but B, going after the 8 Democrat seats that Democrats have here in Florida and trying to pick up 1 or 2 of them. 2 of the seats that Democrats hold in Florida have been targeted by the NRCC. They are seats that the Republican strategists believe are winnable if we put our effort into those. So instead of fighting with each other, we ought to be fighting the Democrats. And it disappoints me when I see people taking shots at each other. All they're doing is helping the Democrats. And frankly, if you look at a lot of those people, they're not from Florida. They're not actually Republicans. They're just people who snuck in, and they're trying to damage us from the inside.
Congressman Fine, you brought up a very valid point. When you look at a Democrat race, they are not attacking their own. They're focused on coming in and dismantling America by taking the votes. Yet the Republicans in the past have tended to fought each other, and by the time they get into that big battle with the Democrat, they're beaten and bruised up. And that's what happened in the Georgia Senate race. There was so much turmoil in the primaries that by the time they got to the federal or the national one where they fought the Democrats, they lost. So it is possible that can occur. We've got to be very aware of it. Your seat alone has always been a very heavy Republican area. You saw the battle of your life, which you fought, you won, you stood, you fought, you won. Congratulations on that. But that is things that people need to see. And the listeners need to understand in this community. Save that money and focus and put it towards something that is worth the battle.
Yeah, and look, and I'll win again. I'm not worried about it. But what I will tell you is this. Every dollar that I raise, I have two choices with how I spend it. I can spend it on my own campaign to preserve a seat that is overwhelmingly Republican, or I can give it to the NRCC, the National Republican Congressional Committee, that they can use to either defend our seats that are in very, very tough districts, or they can use to expand the map so we can reduce the Democrats' power in Washington. And that's what Republicans have to decide. Do they want us to spend our money fighting Republicans, or do they want to spend our money fighting Democrats? Now, unfortunately, there are many people who would rather spend their time and effort fighting Republicans. I think it's a shame, but that's not what I want to do. I want to spend my money beating Democrats. And so what people have to understand is any Republican who runs against me or who runs against Ashley Moody, what they are doing is they're helping the Democrats. They are helping the Democratic Party, as opposed to helping President Trump's soldiers who are up there trying to do the right thing for America. And I encourage everyone to keep in mind, it's America. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to be fine, but I'd rather take the resources that I'm raising and using them to increase the Republican majority, not to protect it.
Congressman Fine, you do bring up another valid point. Florida's had a lot of great leaders. Joe Gruters now is running the Republican Party in America. Florida has so many great people that have been picked up and pulled federally to fight and defend this country. I think we've got to stop fighting ourselves, and we've got to start helping other states focus, and we got to be able to help those other states get back together, or we're going to see things like this. I know you wanted to stay focused on how people could get in touch with you during this crisis, and I definitely want you to mention that again, but I also think it's very important we talk about how people, and you let the people know how they can support you, Randy Fine, to stay in that spot and also help build a team across the country in Congress that can defend our country stronger.
Well, look, I have a campaign website. It's voterandyfine.com. People can go there if they want to help. We are raising money and doing that sort of thing. But my belief is the best way to campaign is to do a good job. And so that's really where our focus is, to show results. There's too many politicians that don't do a good job in the job that they have. And then they say to people they want to go and get another one. They fail at the job the voters have elected them to, so they say they get another one. I wasn't looking to run for Congress. I got elected to the state Senate, and I was doing a good job. And then this job opportunity came because of President Trump. I didn't say, how do I get to the next rung? I focused on doing the job that I have. So if people want to support me, they can go to that website, voterandyfine.com, and we'll take their support. Come to our events. We'll focus on campaigning next year. Right now, the focus is doing the job that the people have elected me to do. And people can encourage people to say, support our Republican candidates. And let's look at, if we want to fight, if you're itching for a fight and you're bruising for a fight, there's a Democrats that you can run against in Orlando. There's Democrats you can run against in Tampa. There's Democrats you can run against in South Florida. Let's focus on the 8 Democrats who are voting against President Trump, not the 20 Republicans who are voting for President Trump.
That's a very valid and good point. And when you look at it and look at your race, I don't know anyone that could have fought off that Democratic attack other than you or someone on your level. We had lost that seat had you not won that primary and you not had come up and answered President Trump's call. And I think that's the foresight of President Trump, seeing something like that, why he did what he did by coming to you and saying, Randy, please run for this position. Please run for this seat. Because, again, I look back at that race, and I'm not so sure any Republican that was in that race prior to you could have defended off that kind of attack from the Democrats.
Well, it was unexpected. I mean, they spent $15 million to try to beat me, which is a record, frankly. In the history of the United States, no person running for Congress has ever raised and spent that much money that fast. It's never happened in American history. And so it was not something the powers that be expected. But I don't think we'll go through that again. I think my race will be won on the borders. But the challenge is every dollar we spend on it is a dollar that we haven't spent trying to get a Republican elected. And it's just a waste. And I want to focus on increasing our majority, not defending our majority. And that's a decision Republicans will have to make. But that will be my focus, making sure that we expand the majority. They took their shot at me. They spent more money than anyone's ever spent on anybody running for Congress. They failed. and they'll fail again.
Congressman Fine, I know you've got a busy schedule. You've got to be around the district quite a bit. I want to thank you for stopping in and talking to the listeners, letting them know what's going on, and just encouraging them to stand strong during these tough times and have leaders like you fighting for us. You're welcome back anytime to update the community, let them know what's happening. And I just want to thank you for coming back in today.
Thanks, Joe. Anytime, and thanks for getting the good word out there about the work that we are doing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I want to let our listeners know, again, this is the impact. Remind you, this is the impact of a government shutdown when we don't have strong leaders in this community. This is devastating the employees' families, the economy so bad across our country. This is not what we want. This is not standing for illegals. This is attacking Americans and breaking them down. This is not what we've asked for in this country. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Congressman Fine, for joining us. Remember, live, work, shop, play in Florida. Let's make this the greatest state and the greatest country in the world by having leaders like Congressman Fine and others fighting for us in this country.
You've been listening to The Joe Mullins Show. Find out more and engage with Joe by visiting the website, theMullinsCompanies.com. That's theMullinsCompanies.com.